Good morning and welcome to the Facts Behind the Figures presentation by Notore. I'd like to welcome the Group Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Ebiaho Emafo, the Chief Financial Officer, Notore, Mr. Bola Tolujo, as well as other members of the management team of Notore who are presently on the call. Thank you for joining in Exchange Limited. I will start by welcoming the Divisional Head Capital Markets, Mr. Jude Chiameka, the Divisional Head Business Support Services, Mrs. Irene Robinson Ayomwale. Welcome, sirs and madam. My name is Loretta, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. We're pleased that you could take the time to join us today despite your busy schedules. Before I run us through the agenda for this session, I'd like to share a few housekeeping notes. For our speakers, please remember to keep your microphone muted throughout the session, except when you're invited to make a contribution. For attendees, we encourage your active participation, and if you have any questions at any point, kindly type them using the Q&A feature on your screen, and we'll hold them for the appropriate Q&A session towards the end of this webinar. We look forward to an engaging Facts Behind the Figures presentation today. So the welcome address will be delivered by Mr. Jude Chiameka, the Divisional Head Capital Markets, and a brief remark from the Group Deputy Managing Director of Notore, Mr. Ebiaho Emafo. Thereafter, we'll listen to a presentation from the Notore team, led by the Group Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Ebiaho Emafo, and he'll be joined by Mr. Bola Tolujo, the Chief Financial Officer, Notore. Please remember to share any questions you may have on the presentation via the Q&A feature on your screen. Thank you once again for joining us for this session. I will now invite Mr. Jude Chiameka for his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Loretta. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all to today's Facts Behind the Figures presentation of Notore Chemical Industries. On behalf of the board and management of Nigerian Exchange Limited, the entire capital market community, I commend the management of Notore PLC for partaking in today's event. As you may know, the Facts Behind the Figures presentation provides listed companies the opportunity to inform the market of their financial performance as well as other strategic and operational developments. Today, we look forward to an interesting and fruitful interaction, which is vital for transparency, price discovery, and overall performance of the stock of the company. Notore Chemical Industry PLC is one of the leading fertilizer and agro-allied companies in Africa, with a business in fertilizer production, supply, and trading of fertilizers and power. The company is strategically positioned for championing African green revolution. In recent years, their operations have positively impacted agricultural yields while promoting improved standard of living for the estimated 14 million farming households in Nigeria. Notore recently recorded a group operating profit of 1.5 billion for Q1 2022. This achievement is a result of hard work and resilience displayed by the management team, who continue to rebuild and reposition Notore to further deliver on its promise to champion the African green revolution. They continue to strengthen the company's financial performance, and I'm sure we'll get to all that details in a minute. The exchange provides an efficient, liquid, and multi-asset securities platform that offers investors an efficient, liquid, that offers investors varied options, including equities, fixed income, derivatives, and other exchange traded products. We also trade mutual funds. We are committed to developing the Nigerian capital market by providing a market that thrives on innovation and responds to the needs of stakeholders in accessing and using capital. Our market continues to be very resilient in providing stakeholders with a platform to raise capital and invest. Year to date, NGX has facilitated needed financing of over 3.1 trillion naira in capital that raised by the governments and corporates across asset classes. I therefore use this opportunity to invite Notore Chemical Industries and all viewers to leverage the various benefits of listing on the exchange, including providing access to capital, increased global profile, and access to liquidity. We thank you, our guests, for your presence today and encourage you to participate fully during the interactive session. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to now invite Notore Chemical Industries PLC to make their presentations. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jude. And I'll start by saying good morning to members of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the investor community. I want to start by thanking the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the opportunity to present Notore's facts behind the figures, specifically for year-to-date 2022 first quarter results. I will also thank the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the opportunity the exchange has given us to make good our promise in terms of making the presentation for the first quarter of this year to the investment public. It's also commendable the work that the Nigerian Stock Exchange has done over the years, particularly with listed companies, ensuring that we're able to provide transparency to the investing public, whilst also safeguarding the investing public and the investment of millions of Nigerians and also international investors. Presenting the facts behind the figures with me today will be the CFO of Notore, Mr. Bola Tolujo, as earlier introduced. The presentation will focus primarily on our year-to-date performance, our financial figures year-to-date, our view of the future, which we believe you'll find useful and productive. I'll also speak broadly about our corporate strategy, Notore's corporate strategy for 2022 and beyond. And as you see from the presentation, we started off with a good note for 2022, posting a profit, which is a departure from our previous 3 years of operation. So we have a profit of 1.5 billion naira for 2022 year to date. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Mr. Abiaho, for the opening remarks or for the remarks. We'll go into the facts behind the figures presentation now by Notore Group. So I'd like to invite Mr. Abiaho again and Mr. Bola Tolujo, who will be joining him. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. We'll start our presentation now, the facts behind the figures for Q1 2022. A brief outline of the presentations will start with the company overview, the real market overview, our Q1 2022 financial performance review, the strategy, the outlook for the year, our value proposition, and then we'll be able to take questions and answers. In terms of Notore Chemicals Industries, we're a fertilizer and agro-allied company based in One in Rivers State, Nigeria. Our principal activities include supply of premium fertilizers, and we are also involved in the education of best practices for farmers and proper deployment of these practices for optimum results. We've managed to build over the years a network of professionals that support farmers and farming communities across Nigeria and also West Africa. Specifically this year, we were able to do some work with farmers in Sierra Leone, which was commendable and appreciated by the Sierra Leonean community. The plant is strategically located in the Notore Free Trade Zone area in Niger Delta region of Nigeria. And this enables us to be able to do effective shipment and distribution of products globally. So we're able to export from our plant location in Notore River State, Port Harcourt. We also have direct access to abundant gas supply from Aeroton OML 15, which is also in River State, Nigeria. In terms of our nameplate capacity for our facilities, we have our ammonia plant at 1,000 metric tons per day. We have our urea plant at 1,500 metric tons per day, nameplate capacity. However, today we're producing about slightly less than 1,000 metric tons a day, but we have plans for the business to be able to produce 1,500 metric tons per day before the end of 2022. In terms of our NPK blending plant as well, we have 2,000 metric tons per day capacity, but we're currently producing short of 1,000 metric tons per day. Our plans are also in progress to be able to produce at least 2,000 metric tons per day. In terms of power generation, we do about 60 megawatts, and our land is about 560 hectares, which is a good advantage for us within the free trade zone area. We have residential accommodation, about 150 residences, which currently we have about 90% capacity on the residences. And then we have a gas infrastructure, which is a dedicated pipeline to Notore, which free trade zone residents can benefit from. We also have a jetty with port status, which takes vessels of up to 25,000 metric tons vessels. So this is where we use to export some of the fertilizer or urea that we produce within Notore, and is also available to off-takers who reside within the free zone trade area of Notore. In terms of our businesses, we have 4 key areas we're invested in. First one is fertilizer. There's the seeds business. There's also the power business and our infrastructure business. We're involved actively in the production of urea, NPK, various NPK blends, which we supply to the local market and also to the international market. This year, we've been able to do a lot of West African exports and also to be able to feed the local market with our urea products and our NPK products. We're actually the only urea producer in West Africa or in Nigeria, sub-Saharan Africa, that has control of its own gas supplies. We have a strong distribution network in Nigeria, and we've recently exported to West Africa, like I said earlier on. And we also have opportunities, and we've done it in the past, where we supply to Latin America and North America. In terms of our seed business, we've been able to develop and market our branded seed products across Nigeria. We're heavily invested in rice production. In fact, we're doing the second pilot phase of rice production, which will be completed by July 2022, and then we'll go on to full-scale rice production. And there's a huge opportunity in that space. We envisage at least a 3 billion opportunity per annum in the rice space. We've also worked with, we have high-yield seeds based on the work we've done with institutions like IITA to develop our seeds, and they're used with the farmers and with our fertilizer to grow products in the local market. In terms of power, like I said earlier on, we're licensed for electricity generation and distribution. We have at least 60 megawatts of power available for use. We use about between 8 to 13 for our own use, and then we're able to supply the balance to operators within our own geographical space, within the Notore area or the River State area. For infrastructure, like I said earlier, we have a free zone status, which is advantageous to us and also offers significant tax benefits to occupiers of the free trade zone. So we have huge opportunities there in that space. It's being developed, it's being exploited as we progress. We have access to about 5 5 trillion standard cubic feet of gas, which is from the current supplier of a gas, Aeroton, which is also available for utilization within the free trade zone area. And then, of course, we have logistics solutions for international distribution of our products. So it's easy for us to have access to the international markets because we're able to export from our facility in One, from our port in One. Notore, over the years, has been involved in championing the African Green Revolution. So we've actually been greatly involved in provision of quality agro-inputs, seeds, and fertilizers. We've also worked very closely with farmers, educating them on best farm practices. And we've also been able to create markets for our quality outputs, which is our Notore Foods business. We've worked closely with the farmers, providing them with farm inputs such as fertilizers and improved seeds to increase their yields. We've established farm demonstration plots, and we also have video viewing centers in our communities within Nigeria, which helps educate our farmers on best practices for improving their yields. This has been a success over the years, and it's something that we are focused on and we continue to do progressively. We've deployed GPS coordinated field demonstrations and also farmer learning feedback. This has also helped us in further developing our products specific to our farmers. And we also have automated farmers group data capturing and storage, which helps us in the development of our strategy and how to work better with our farmers. We've partnered with agricultural research institutes in Nigeria to develop our seeds and specialty fertilizer blends, which are well accepted and well taken by the market within Nigeria. We've also significantly, through our research and through the work that we've done with the farmers, we've contributed significantly to upscaling of fertilizer application in Nigeria. So there's a lot of work we're doing in the African Green Revolution space within the Nigeria and also within the African continent. We have a unique distribution strategy which has helped us in our outreach to our off-takers. The distribution model starts from our production facility in One, and we have our products picked up by our distributors, and then they're sent on further out into the market. So we're able, with our distribution model, we're able to reach the last mile in terms of the nooks and crannies of the country to be able to supply our fertilizers and our urea and of course our NPK blends. So we have access to the markets within the south, southeast, and of course the northeast, northern parts of the country. Our distribution model is tailored towards achieving the following. We reach farmers with the rural farmers with agro inputs on time, so we're able to reach them on time, and we're also able to offer them affordable prices so as to be able to have fertilizer as an input into their crop production. We also have been able to work with them closely by providing them extensive extension services to improve their yields. And we've also been able to generate relevant and credible data, which we use in terms of our planning for our strategy. So it helps us in our strategic decision-making significantly. We've been able to work to get specialized fertilizer blends to commercial plant farms, and this has also, the feedback we received is that it has improved the yields and efficiency of the farming, and we've been able to export also to the international market. We worked to export some of our products within the West African region this year, and we hope to continue doing that right through to the end of the year. Notore Industrial City is a huge opportunity which we're working to try to achieve the benefits of. It has a land infrastructure of about 120 hectares, which is developed, but like I said earlier, in excess of 500 hectares, but only 120 is developed thus far, and there are plans to continue the development of the additional hectares. We have a dedicated gas pipeline and existing power infrastructure. We also have warehouses and laydown areas, which we're marketing at the moment, and we've generated significant interest. We have offices which are available for use, which are fully furnished. And of course, we have water and sewage treatment plants. So it's a solid facility based in Notore. We also have a helipad, and we have accommodation, camp accommodation, which has world-class sports and recreational facilities. And we have been able to market this. Here we have about 90% occupancy in terms of camp accommodation. We also have jetty channel access with over 2 kilometers of shoreline and about 3,600 square meters of jetty dock. And then storage to quayside conveyor, which also helps us in our ability to export products. It has a firefighting station with operational fire trucks in case of any emergencies, and also a solid internet infrastructure throughout the industrial city. So it's a solid opportunity which we're working to get the benefits of, and it is being done progressively, and we're seeing the results as we progress. In terms of the global urea market size, the market size is estimated at about 183 million metric tons. The Nigerian market, as we know, as was recorded in 2021, was about 1 million tons. But USAID predicts at about 3 million tons. But we see it in the very near future to move towards the 8 to 9 million tons per annum market. So there's a huge opportunity in Nigeria, there's a huge opportunity in the world, but there's also the huge opportunity presented by the scarcity in the market due to the Ukraine-Russia crisis. So this has created an opening in the market and also led to a spike in prices, even though we see prices coming down very recently. The market is expected to grow, as is being predicted, at 2.3%. over the next 10 years. Over the last 5 years, it grew at about 2%, but it's envisaged that it should grow at about 2.3% over the next 10 years. So there's a huge opportunity as farmers get to know the benefits of fertilizer, as they are trained in the use of fertilizer for their farming and improved farming techniques. So we see a huge opportunity in that area. In terms of market categorization, it's by grade and end user industry. So we have the grade fertilizer, the feed, and the technical. And the end user industry, it's agricultural, chemical, and automotive, and indeed medical as well, and others. Asia Pacific is expected to drive growth, followed by North America. But we see a huge opportunity in Africa as affordability comes into play, and also as improved farming techniques comes into play, and also as industrialized farming comes into play. So we see a huge opportunity, a huge growth opportunity within the African region. We see a huge opportunity with the Nigerian, the growth of use of fertilizer within Nigeria as well. And we're driving that opportunity as well. Overall, the market for technical grade urea is expected to account for the highest growth, as is being predicted. As I said earlier on, Russia and Ukraine, I think, produce close to about 15% of the world market for urea. And based on the sanctions that have been applied to Russia, there's a huge opportunity, or there's a huge space to be able to progress our sales to the international markets because of the void that has been created by Russia. In terms of the operating environment, at the beginning of the year, prices were forecasted to drop, and they went up when the Russia-Ukraine crisis started. The invasion occurred in February 2022, and then the prices peaked. We had countries buying, or farmers buying due to the fear of sanctions on Russia, which led to price rises. In March, we had producers in Middle East and North Africa and West Africa that sold forward their shipments for April. So it was a huge opportunity. Their prices were rising, and we were able to sell a couple of cargoes during the period and take advantage of the price at the time. Prices now are dropping, but we see there will be a possibility of them increasing during the course of the year, because now we're going into the planting season as well. So we see the opportunity of prices rising, at least within the Nigerian market for fertilizer. So it's a huge opportunity for us. The challenge we face as well is price for NPK raw materials is going up in terms of ammonia, potash, and nitrogen. So that is impacting on our cost of production, and also makes us have to pass it on to the off-taker, to the farmers, to the distributors, and then to the farmers. So it's a challenge, but we see that it may improve as the year goes on, but it's a challenge which we're facing, but we're bracing up to the reality and also reflecting that in our pricing. So we're still able to sell at an increased price. However, we see the capacity in Nigeria, India, and Iran being able to stop the void created by Russia's absence. And that is gradually creeping into the market because I think currently you have about 9 million, in excess of between 9 to 13 million tons, 9 to 13,000 tons per day production from Nigeria. So I think that should be able to void the gap in the market. In terms of our financial performance, on a general note, I would say there's been an improvement in our financial performance over the first quarter of this year compared to previous years. As you note, like we said earlier on, we've posted a 1.5 billion profit in the first quarter. So we see things looking positive. If you look at our numbers, we see that there's also we believe that's a high quality production asset with long-term economic benefits. That's where we see Notore, and that's where we believe we're heading towards. The 2021 TAM program, which was completed, has significantly improved our plant reliability and uptime. So our return on equity is now at about 3%, but our target is for a 15% return on equity. If you look through our current liabilities, you notice that they're largely bank loans, which we're currently working to restructure to long-term loans. And if we're able to restructure them, which is very possible, we'll improve our working capital and also reduce our financial costs. So our cost of financing will go down, we'll improve our working capital. And once we have an improvement in working capital, we'll be able to work on a lot of projects which will work towards improving our production, our capacity to be able to meet our nameplate capacity. In that vein, we will also, when we start posting profits as we're doing now, we should be able to raise fresh equity at the end of the year, believing that it will be a profitable year. So if you compare our 2021 numbers, which is the 15-month numbers, with first quarter numbers, you'll see a significant improvement in our numbers, which shows that we're moving in the right direction. Our profit and loss statement shows that, like I said earlier on, we have a 1.5 billion profit for the year. I think it's been a good quarter for us. The results came to us with a lot of joy. And as I said earlier on, it's a break from previous years. This has been enabled by, of course, favorable market conditions because the price of urea has gone up. This plant stability, we've been able to achieve plant stability after the turnaround maintenance. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to achieve our nameplate capacity, but we hope and we're working towards achieving the nameplate capacity by the end of 2022. So by the last quarter of 2022, we envisage we should be able to achieve our nameplate capacity. We're aggressively moving towards NPK, and also we believe that we should be able to compete favorably in the NPK space and also a rice opportunity as well, presents us additional income revenue sources. So we plan to maintain and replicate our Q1 performance right through to the end of the year. So again, I said positive news. We have a EBITDA of 7.5 billion. So it's all positive for the first quarter, and we plan to replicate that right through to the end of the year. In terms of our ratios, you note that there's a gradual improvement over the position as of 2021, December 2021. This again is mainly due to our profitability for the first quarter. Important to note, like I said earlier on, we are currently doing a return on equity of about 3%. Our target is 15%, and we believe we're moving towards that towards the end of the year. As far as we push the urea production, the plant stability goes on, and of course, the NPK business grows as we envisage, and also the rice production. So we have a mix of income streams, which we believe should be able to push us towards the 15% return on equity as we plow along. It's important to note that if things continue on the positive stride, we plan to raise fresh equity at the end of the year, which will also help us, like I said earlier on, for our cash flows improvement. In terms of our strategic priorities, we have 3 key strategic priorities. I've talked about them earlier on in some measure of detail. We intend to expand our product offerings, develop the free trade zone, and also capital restructure is on the plate. So in terms of our product offerings, I said earlier on, we're moving into the West African market. We've started selling in the West African market, and it's been a huge and profitable opportunity. We also hope to work into our seeds business, see a significant improvement, and through our supply chain network. And also the Notore rice pilots, which I said will conclude in July of this year, and then go into full-scale production of rice. And we've seen a huge opportunity in the market. The pilots went well, and the market received our rice very well. So we see a huge opportunity there in another revenue stream, and we envisage in the region of about 3 billion per annum potential in the next 1 to 5 years. For the seeds business, we see about approximately a 500 million naira per annum opportunity. So a huge potential there. For NPK, we've worked on our various brands to various blends to our farmers, and we will continue in the development of the special blends, which have been received very favorably by the market and presents a huge opportunity for us. For the free trade zone, it's a huge opportunity with significantly untapped potential, which we're working to start tapping the potential. We've made giant strides in that regard. We intend to leverage on the free zone status, because we have a free zone developer status, which has significant advantages to any off-taker or any resident within the free zone. There's access to gas, because gas is the key input for most of the manufacturers. So there's access to gas. And this will also help us drive our gas monetization strategy, because we'll be providing gas to residents within the free trade zone area. Again, I spoke about our opportunities in West Africa. The port facility enables us have access to the West African market, because we have a port there, and also to the international market. So there's huge opportunities within the free trade zone. In terms of capital restructuring, we intend to raise capital, which will help us restructure our balance sheet and help us in our push to expand some of our activities in terms of our growth projections. There's huge opportunity, I said, to hit our nameplate capacity, and any capital restructure or raising of fresh finance will also be able to help us to meet our planned objectives for increasing production and stabilizing our plant. We hope to explore other financing options, which include corporate bonds, and which will help us improve anything to do to help us improve our balance sheet and also our cash flow efficiencies. So huge opportunities in our three strategic priorities, which we hope to fully exploit. So in terms of our product offerings, I'm sure since the last Facts Behind the Figures, we've introduced rice into the market, and we've also had the installation of our NPK blending plant. We've started working with the NPK blending plant, and we were known in the market for our NPK product. We signed an agreement with NSIA to blend about 10,000 metric tons of NPK for this planting season, which is under the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. So we're going to keep on leveraging on our seed business and using our robust supply chain and distribution network to expand into other products. And like I said earlier on, we're going to conclude on the rice project and then start working for an output of about 300 metric tons during the planting season. This just speaks to a few of the special blend trials and demonstrations we've had, working towards ensuring farmers maximize their yields. So we've worked with research institutes to ensure that we have specialty blended products which have been received well, and they've been good on the soil, and some of them are plant specific, so they've been received well by the off-takers. We had an initial focus on cotton, cassava, and oil palm oil and ginger, but we intend to move beyond that as the opportunity exists. So we work to increase the awareness and adoption of these blends with our agric extension teams, and they're engaged in trials and demonstrations with farmers. As I said earlier on, we worked with them in Nigeria, and we've also worked with them in Sierra Leone. They were invited to Sierra Leone, and it did yield positive results. So in terms of the industrial city, I've spoken a lot about it because we see a lot of huge opportunity in this space. As I said earlier on, we have 560 hectares of land, and it's over 2 kilometers of waterfront. And there's a water channel that links it to the Atlantic Ocean through the Bonny River. We currently use about 120 hectares, which is in the built-up area. So there's huge, ample opportunity for us to be able to grow beyond the 120 built-up area. And we currently provide a 24/7 operation. So we see this as a huge opportunity, and we're working to ensure that we're able to exploit it as best as we can. We've been able to handle cargo from our port, and this works very well. We have warehouses which we use as well. The stacking yards, offices, and camp accommodation, which I spoke about earlier on. So Notore Industrial City is operated and managed as a separate SBU. It's a solely owned subsidiary of Notore Chemical Industries. So the concept is work, live, and play. It's a beautiful estate. Residential is a beautiful commercial and industrial area. And you can work within the area, you can live within the area, and of course, you can play because we have recreational facilities as well. So we're taking advantage of it, and we're making adequate provisions to provide all the facilities and services to support the free zone occupants operating within Notore Industrial City. So plots, we plan to lease plots to companies under this site and services model, which we're doing now, and we hope to expand as we progress. So for 2022, we envisage that there could still be higher prices for urea. They will go up and they will go down, dependent on planting seasons and of course the situation with war between Russia and Ukraine. We also see it for us as a huge opportunity for export because the export market provides us with better financial returns than the local market. So there's a huge opportunity there. We also see that it makes us more competitive in the international market because some of the countries have higher gas prices than Nigeria. So their products are generally outpriced in the market because they're priced higher than what we're able to supply at. So a huge opportunity for us because there's also headroom for us to increase prices. Again, we've also seen that the local prices have improved significantly. So we're able to take advantage of the local prices. So we see a huge opportunity there. And we're able to compete with the European supply market due to our own favorable gas prices. The international market receives our products quite favorably. So there's demand for imported urea in Europe because it's cheaper than the nitrate urea produced in Europe. There's also the possibility of higher gas prices over the summer, which will provide a flow of about 600 per metric ton, Middle East and FOB North America. So we're able to compete in that market as well. We see the devaluation of the Naira as a particular challenge, and that may lead to us and other producers within Nigeria trying to export so that we can earn in foreign exchange, which is a huge opportunity for us as well. And then over the next few months, we see, as I mentioned earlier on, it's going to be the planting season, and we see an increase in offtake of fertilizer. So we expect to close the year, as we started the year, with bottom line profitability. So that's positive news for us, and we hope and we believe that we're going to be able to achieve that at the end of the year. So our value proposition, it's basically, we believe we have a great location because we're in the Niger Delta. We have the opportunity of the free trade zone, and then we have access to huge gas fields for where off-takers can be resident within the free trade zone. We're also a preferred brand. We've done a series of market surveys, and Notore comes out tops in terms of brand acceptability. I spoke a lot earlier on about our free zone status and the huge opportunity presented by that. Access also to international waters from our facility. We have a strong management team, which is strong and committed to management, and you're seeing the results of the work that the management team and of course the staff of Notore are doing over the first quarter and over the years. So we're improving, and that's what's driving us to profitability, and we believe that should drive us to profitability right through to the end of the year. In terms of our distribution network, we also have a strong distribution network, which we're taking advantage of, and we believe that is a significant advantage to us as a business, and we'll continue exploiting that. And we're a one-stop agro shop, so we provide various brands of urea. We provide urea and various brands of NPK, and also we have seeds, and we're involved in farmer education. So it's a strong value proposition, and we believe that we'll be able to take full advantage of it as the year progresses. And as I said earlier on, we believe we'll be able to attain profit at the end of the year based on what we've been able to do so far. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation.
So we have just listened to the facts behind the figures presentation by Notore, and would like to thank the Notore team for the very detailed presentation on the facts behind the figures. The Group Deputy Managing Director would like to thank you, Mr. Ebiaho Emafo, and the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Bola Turuju. As we proceed into the Q&A session, I'd like to encourage you to share your questions via the Q&A feature on your screen. Without further delay, let's get into the Q&A session.
Good morning, all. It appears that our moderator may have dropped off from the call. Perhaps she's having network challenges. So while we wait for her to return to the call, I will just take the first question, if that's okay.
Hello.
Okay,
Hi.
there you go. She's back now. Thank you very much. Loisa, you can take over.
Apologies for reception, my poor reception. So we'll go into the Q&A session now, and we'll take the questions in batches of 2. We have 2 questions from anonymous attendees. The first one says, following the release of the unaudited financial statements, can you elaborate on the plans for the business going forward and strategic objectives for the rest of the year 2022? And the second one says, what is the plan to realign its business model to adapt following the impact post-COVID-19 on operations? Over to you, sir, Mr. Ebiaho.
Okay, I think, thank you very much, Loretta. I think in my presentation, I really covered a lot of ground on the area of our strategic priorities for 2022. And they revolve around continuing sustaining our production as we are, growing our production to nameplate capacity for urea, focus on our NPK blends, our various NPK blends, growing our production in that area, sustaining it as well, going beyond the local market and exporting because there's a huge opportunity for export because of the favorable prices for export. So there's a huge opportunity in that space. So we're going to have a blend of local sales and international sales, taking advantage of the price as we find it on the international market. The local market prices for urea and NPK are also very good, and we're taking advantage of those prices. We're also focusing on reducing our cost of production. There's been a huge effort in our area of reduction of cost of production, which we're working on so that we have lower cost of production. So that speaks to the various product offerings that we have. In terms of infrastructure, I'd spoken earlier on about push towards working with the industrial complex, taking advantage of our free zone status and being able to work to attract occupants of the free zone area, because there's a huge opportunity there. Like I said in my presentation, we have a huge expanse of land. We have residential, we have industrial, and we have a commercial area. So there's a huge opportunity there, and we have a separate SBU, which is working towards achieving that. So we see that opportunity, and we're working towards fully exploiting it. I also said in my presentation, the area around finance, we're working closely with the banks to be able to restructure our finance, our loans. So that will bring about reduced cost of finance. When we are able to get reduced cost of finance, it helps us to have better cash flows, to be able to manage our business, and to also help us work towards growth. Because with better cash flows, we'll be able to maintain our plants, ensure plant stability, and also increase production to meet nameplate capacity. So our objectives are hinged on growth of production for our products, our industrial area, increased market opportunity for our industrial area, and also our focus on reducing our cost of finance and the possibility based on our performance to be able to raise equity for the business before the end of the year, which will also inject fresh capital potentially to the business. Thank you. And the second one, what's the second question?
Okay, so the second question goes, what is the plan to realign its business model to adapt following the impact post-COVID-19 on operations?
Okay, I'll be quite honest with you. COVID-19 did not significantly affect our operations because people kept on planting. What I'll say to you is that it affected our turnaround maintenance in terms of the timing for the completion of our turnaround maintenance. So we had a particular challenge in the importation of materials that were used for the turnaround maintenance. So there were delays, there were flight restrictions over the period. But since the COVID-19 is not much of an issue anymore, all our plant expansion programs that we intend embarking on will not have that effect of delays that we experienced during the COVID period. But I can say that we've seen an upsurge in demand because we're able to sell all that we produce in local market and also in the international market when the opportunity presents itself. So it's more favorable prices that we're seeing and not much of a challenge post-COVID. So we're aligned in terms of the strategy towards better profitability for the business, but we didn't really have a significant impact in terms of COVID because, to be quite honest, during the period of COVID, the plant was epileptic, and then we went through turnaround maintenance during that time. So it's all positive that we see so far.
Thank you very much for your response, sir. So we have a question from Franklin Uzo. He's asking, what quantum of investment has Notore made in Nigeria in the last 5 years? What should we expect expansion in the nearest future? You mentioned government's favorable policies as an incentive. Can you be specific?
Okay, in the next few years, we expect to, I think we spent for the turnaround maintenance, Bola, you need to correct me if I'm wrong, in excess of 500 million for the turnaround maintenance. And then we expect that we'll continue doing further investment. So now we're doing short of 1,000 metric tons per day. So we intend to push beyond the 1,000 metric tons per day for urea. So to our nameplate capacity of 1,500 metric tons per day. So we see that coming into play within the year. We've already ordered materials and equipment to be able to achieve that objective. So we're investing the specific numbers of in terms of the investment. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but there's significant investment going in that area. In the next 3 to 5 years, so medium to long term, we envisage that there is also an opportunity for expanding our production beyond our 1,500 metric tons per day. So in saying that, there's a possibility of creating a new manufacturing manufacturing plant for urea, which we believe could go beyond the 4,000 metric ton per day mark. For NPK, we're going to push production from the 700 plus per day we do to the 2,000 mark, and we're in that phase now, working towards that increase in production output per day. So that doesn't necessarily need investment, material investment, because we have the equipment. What we need is raw materials, the availability of raw materials to be able to produce the NPK at the 2,000 metric tons per day. We struggled with NPK because of the cost of raw materials and lack of availability of raw materials. So we're pushing as much as possible, supported by NSIA, to get raw materials in to be able to produce NPK. So those are the two key areas I see us growing in, and then further investment we will have Again, the numbers are still being worked out within the Notore industrial city to be able to upgrade the infrastructure to make it attractive to potential off-takers. So in those three areas, those are the investments we intend to make, and that's the outcome we intend to achieve from those three areas. I think I missed the second question, which was?
Okay, so the second question from Franklin Uzo, it was just a question, just one question.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope I've answered it.
Okay, so we have other questions from anonymous attendees. One of them says, with increasing dependencies on technology, how is the company leveraging technology to improve its operations, processes, and ultimately impact revenue? That's the first question. And then the second one is, are there any strategies in place to drive revenue in line with projections for 2022? And how likely are these to be met?
Okay, in terms of technology, I think what the plant is doing, what we're doing with the plant is we're investing in the best technology available on the market. So we're able to, we have an old plant, to be frank, we have an old plant. So with the old plant, we're doing our best to work with the plant to ensure that we maintain stability of the plant. But in terms of technology, anything we're acquiring at the moment is world-class, best-in-class technology to be able to support the business. So that's what we're doing in that space. In terms of strategies to drive revenue, again, I've spoken earlier about that. It's bridging the gap between our current production and our nameplate capacity. And we're pushing in that direction of bridging the gap through the various strategies that we've employed in all the areas, NPK, urea, and of course, the Notore industrial city. So in summary, those are the areas we're focusing on, and that is where we're pushing towards to be able to achieve profitability at the end of the year. And you know, we've done well in the first quarter. We pulled up our sleeves, the management team, and of course the staff pulled the sleeves up together. The MD had insisted that this year will be a profitable year, and that's all we speak within the company. Profit is the motive, reduce cost, grow revenue, and we're growing revenue, and we'll continue to grow revenue and reduce costs to be able to attain profitability at the end of the year.
Thank you very much for your response, sir. So we have a question from Olaolu Midasiru. He's asking, are there looming threats or opportunities from the commencement of operations at the Dangote fertilizer plant? So that's one question.
Okay, to be quite honest, before the Dangote plant came into play, the business was quite wary about a 4,000 metric ton per day plant coming into the market. But as we progressed, we also realized that the market is a big market. The Nigerian market is a big market, and it goes beyond the Nigerian market. There's also the international market, which we can play in, and which the other participants in the market are playing in as well. So it's a global market for fertilizer. You're not restricted to the local market. There's also the international market opportunity, which we're taking advantage of. And also, it's important to note that Notore is a very strong brand in the market. It's a very well-known brand, it's a strong brand, and it has strong market acceptability. So in terms of brand attractiveness or brand equity, we have a strong brand. So we're able to sell. We sell all we produce. We've consistently done that over the years, and we continue to do that. What we struggle with as of today is availability in terms of volume, right? So if we grow our capacity to the 1,500 metric tons per day, we know we'll sell it, because we also have an effective distribution strategy which is able to reach the nooks and crannies of the country. I believe Notore, as most of you will know, is the first choice amongst fertilizer off-takers. So we believe that we'll continue to do well in that area. And like I said earlier on, we have a huge opportunity in the export market, which we're exploiting as well.
Thank you for that response, sir. A question from Luke Ofojebe. He's asking, Was there a significant improvement in sales volumes, or was there revenue performance? Was the revenue performance mainly driven by the sharp increase in urea prices?
So I think it's twofold. We had increase in price, which was beneficial to the business. We had the international market opportunity, which was also significantly improved the revenue numbers. But also we had significant plant time availability. So we were able to have significant uptime in terms of our plant, and that enabled us to produce more than what we've been producing over the last few years. So the turnaround maintenance investment that we did as a business has started producing the results which we envisaged when we went into turnaround maintenance. So turnaround maintenance has helped us to stabilize the plant. It has helped us to grow production, and this is forward thinking now. We intend to continue working towards improving plant reliability and also capacity. So that again will increase our revenue opportunities as we go towards the end of the year. So it's twofold, like I said, it's price and plant availability, which has helped us significantly.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from Banji O. He's asking, when are we going to start mass production to improve our revenue? Which of our subsidiaries are now fully active? Over to you, sir.
All our subsidiaries are fully active and engaged, as I said earlier on in my presentation. So what we're trying to do is to continuously improve on the performance of each of the subsidiaries. But all the subsidiaries are active as we speak. In terms of mass production, that's a bit of a tricky one. For fear of repeating myself, we're doing production is based on nameplate capacity. There's a short gap between our nameplate capacity and our current production. So if that speaks to the question, the objective is to move to our nameplate capacity. And we have strategies in place. We've ordered equipment and material that should come into the country before the last quarter of the year. And we believe that that should bring us closer to our nameplate capacity. So that will help us with our efficiency, will also help us with our improved production, and also, again, bring in additional revenue for the business, which is what we strive for.
Thank you very much for your response, sir. We have a final question from Michael Ogumbi. He's asking, I'd like to know what are the requirements to partner with Notore to be their supplier, and how can a startup company benefit from their financial window to finance some of the projects?
Okay, it depends on what area of Notore he's interested in, because there's the suppliers of material and equipment, and of course there's the opportunity to get involved by registering with the supply chain department. There's a process the company will have to go through, and then there's also the opportunity within the distribution network. There's a huge opportunity there as well to be a distributor with Notore. Again, this is through the commercial team, and you have to go through a process, a form filling process, provide documents and all that, and then you could be registered as a distributor, dependent on your experience and dependent on your reach as well. In terms of partnering with Notore, it depends on the opportunity. If he writes a note to the managing director of Notore, I'm sure there'll be the opportunity to review the proposal, and if indeed it's interesting and comes with a unique value proposition, there'll be the opportunity to consider the request, and then he'll be contacted and we'll have a conversation around it.
Okay, thank you very much for your responses so far. We have come to the end of the Q&A session, as we have no questions. Oh, apologies, we have one more question from Luke Ofojebe. He's asking, is the export market for Notore's urea going to be sustainable in subsequent quarters, or is it a mere consequence of Russia-induced disruptions to global supply?
I think the export market remains an opportunity. How huge it is dependent on how the market forces determine. Currently, you can say it's due to Russia-Ukraine crisis, but I believe that it will still remain an opportunity in the coming months and years. We'll be able to determine this because these days you can't predict beyond 6 months, 3 to 6 months. We'll be able to determine this in the last quarter of the year when we see how things pan out. But from the forecasts that we receive, there will remain an opportunity in the international market, which most companies will explore. And with the situation in Nigeria, with the devaluation of the Naira, I'm certain that if the Naira doesn't appreciate and continues depreciating, then the international market will remain a welcome opportunity.
Thank you very much for your response. We have another question from Abiola Gbemisola. We have 3 questions from Abiola Gbemisola. She's asking, or he's asking, you mentioned plans to raise capital for business expansion. What is the timeline for the capital raise, and to what extent will management implement funds for capacity expansion? Second question is, what is Notore's long-term plan for the African markets? And the third question is, what promise can management make on dividends? Over to you, sir.
Okay, I missed the first question. The first question was capacity.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me read it again. You mentioned plans to raise capital for business expansion. What is the timeline for the capital raise, and to what extent will management implement funds for capacity expansion?
Okay, the intention, how we see it, is that the first quarter was good. We intend to have all quarters right through to the end of the year, similar or even better numbers in terms of our profitability. Towards the end of the year, we'll review our position, but our position remains possibly at the end of the year, we'll now start making efforts towards a capital raise based on our performance. Because typically you're more attractive to the market when you do well, and we believe we will do well right through to the end of the year to be able to raise capital. All the capital we raise on the market will be used for capacity expansion, maintenance, and for general operational expenses to ensure that the business continues to grow as we envisage based on our plans for the business. So we'll use it for maintenance of the plant, we'll use it for purchase of equipment, we'll use it for purchase of inventory, which we're going to use for adequate plant maintenance. So we have a plan towards that. The money is going to be employed for capacity expansion and plant stabilization. So that's the plan for us. In terms of long-term plan for the African market, there's always the opportunity. Not many countries within Africa have fertilizer manufacturing plants. Notore is attractive in the West African region based on the quality of the products that we have supplied to the market. We have a name recognition in those markets. So that presents us a huge opportunity. So we're going to continue playing the local market and the international market with particular emphasis on the West African market, because there are also added opportunities of working within the West African market. So we'll continue to play in that market as long as the market continues to receive our product. And like I said earlier on, we work closely with some of the farmers within some of the markets that we've sold our fertilizer to, like the example I gave of Sierra Leone, which received our products favorably, and some other markets within West Africa. So we'll continue to grow within the West African region and Sub-Saharan Africa generally. And if there are other opportunities within Africa, we'll push towards them. But it remains attractive. Revenue from those streams remains in US dollars. Again, I said earlier on, regarding the attractiveness of US dollars versus Naira, if the Naira keeps on devaluing.
All right. Thank you very much for your response, sir. We have a question from Adidayo Awotunde. He's asking, how does the industrial city project tie into the short, medium-term strategy of Notore?
Okay, the industrial city is short, medium to long term, we've been able to work with the industrial city as it is, but due to paucity of funds, we've not been able to expand beyond what we have now. We've used the revenue generated from the existing infrastructure with slight modifications to run the industrial city. But we see a huge opportunity in that space, and based on the capital raise, which is an opportunity, and other possible sources of income, we should be able to expend more money on the facility. I mean, it's a wonderful facility in terms of the residential and the office complex, which remains available for uptake. So if we are able to raise money, or we're able to get funds from elsewhere, also through some of the contract strategies that we're trying to employ, we see further development of the industrial city. So it fits into our plan. It's one of the pillars of our strategic plan. And we envisage huge revenue streams from it. So it's something that we're focused on, and it remains a key priority for the business.
Thank you for your response, and thank you for your responses so far. So we will come to the end of this session as we have no further questions at this point in time. I'd like to say thank you to the Group Deputy Managing Director, Notore, Mr. Ebiaho Emafo, for providing responses to questions. And to all our attendees, thank you so much for your questions so far. I would now like to hand over to Mr. Jude Chiamaka, the Divisional Head Capital Markets at NGX, for the closing remarks. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Loretta, and thank you so much, Mr. Obeho and Bola Tolujo. Yeah, that's the CFO. Well, it's really a very pleasant opportunity to expose all of these strategies and novel pursuits, just to allow market community understand what is driving your numbers, and ultimately the investors as well will properly advise. We're really delighted that you had the privilege to do this, and we believe that the impact of this activity will certainly reflect on the stock price of your company. Like they say, there are things that drive the performance of a stock, apart from the financial performance, market hearsay, but more importantly, the demand and supply. And you did talk about sustaining this sort of performance and also leading to possible issuance of new equity. We certainly will be looking forward to that. And I believe that investors who understand your business and what you have explained today will also want to take advantage to buy stocks when you do go the issuance of new equities part. So we thank you very much, and we say to our participants, we're really happy that you were able to take the time to be here. At the NGX, we'll continue to provide opportunity for you to have better insights into what is going on in the listed companies, with the hope that you will take advantage and also enjoy the benefits as all these companies continue to produce astounding results. Thank you so much, and do have a very pleasant day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.